Welcome to Resource Thursday with Augmentt Technology. I'm your host, Rick Smith. This is the place to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop leading it or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. My co-host, Paco Lebron, he's out today. He's in Las Vegas attending the Channel Futures Conference. Actually, he's on his way back right now. So I'm sure next week when we talk, he'll have a lot of learnings to share with us. I want to give a welcome to our guest today, Ali Mahmoud. He's the Vice President of Product and Partner Success at Augmentt Technology. Welcome, Ali. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rick. Thanks for having me.
That's great. Welcome again. Before we get started with Ali and learn about what's going on at Augmentt, I'd like to give a shout out to our upcoming event, TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is September 16th to the 18th at the Hilton Rosemont, Chicago over here. There you'll learn from other like-minded business owners in panels and breakout sessions, gain key takeaways from partners and vendors in the space. And my favorite part is you get to experience that one-on-one or spontaneous group conversations, whereas Paco's famous for saying where the magic happens. Tickets are $2.99 and can be purchased at techconunplugged.com. We look forward to seeing you all there. Okay, now that that's out. Ali, once again, welcome. Just give us a little background about yourself before we talk about Augmentt and how you got to Augmentt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story. I could kind of start anywhere, but I started in software very early in my career. I studied computer programming. I joined a small tech startup. They did moderately well, and I've kind of fell in love with software and been at different software companies ever since. I got into the MSP space around 2014 with Enable. And that's where I worked for Derek, current CEO of Augmentt. So Derek and I had a great relationship, worked for him for about 3 years, bounced around a couple other jobs. And it's funny because Derek and I talked about what Augmentt is now back in like 2015. We used to go for lunch and say like, no one's really solving for the cloud management aspect of what an MSP has to struggle with. And so, and when he called me and said, I founded Augmentt, I was like, when do I join? And the rest is history.
Wow. So how long have you been there now?
I've been here about 1.5 years now. Yeah.
Okay. So, going into Augmentt, what do you guys actually do? Or I hate to say it that way, but if you had to give the elevator pitch on Augmentt, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, we're kind of trying to solve the problem that the RMM solves for network and endpoint discovery, right? So I think in the old days when you didn't have remote control, you didn't have an RMM, it was kind of hard to see into customer environments, understand what's going on, push out patching and AV and all the kind of things you need to do to keep your customers safe, keep them up and running. And we're trying to do the same thing for SaaS software. We're starting with Microsoft 365 and Google. That's the natural first place to start. I think 50% of everybody's business runs around Microsoft. But then there's all the other little apps where company data is stored and everything's kind of happening. So we have a couple different products, and I kind of break them into 2 buckets. One is just that kind of global visibility, audit, inventory, what is all of the software that the company's using. And I think that some tools out there will tell you what's installed on machines, right? So it's kind of like an install audit. We are trying to track what are people actually using. And because I think the using question is interesting. And so what are they doing in their web browser? What are they running on their desktop? Where are they pushing company data? Who has access to QuickBooks? Should they have access to QuickBooks? Those kind of bigger questions. And then I think on the deeper side, I think every MSP should be locking down, monitoring, and alerting on Microsoft 365 and Google, at least to start. I think that's kind of how you get into the SaaS management, SaaS security services game. But we're just getting started. The plan is to help the MSP bridge that kind of gap. I don't think there's a future where the MSP manages 500 apps for their customer. I think that's too much overhead, and there's just too many little niggly little apps out there. But certainly it's going to be the Microsoft and Google, the Zoom, the Dropbox, your own internal tools, just having a single place to manage who has access to what and is the basic security configuration in place.
That sounds interesting. I know one of the things is one of the biggest challenges for us as MSPs is keeping track of all of these things that are occurring. And one of the things it sounds like one of the one of the things you do is more so the audit, which I think is great. Is just letting us know where things are going, what's what's running. That's an interesting concept with it. Now, do you guys you offer the product? Is it like a multi-tenant? Is it customer by customer? Has it?
Yeah. So yeah, I agree 100%. I think everything starts with visibility. And kind of my mantra lately, I did a webinar on the NIST framework recently. And, I like NIST as you don't have to follow every single step, but NIST is good from it's just a simple framework way to think of things. And so the concept of identify, protect, and then detect, I like those 3 steps. I think it's basically audit, right? So I actually know what's going on, and then fixing the problems that you want to fix. And we all know that you can't fix everything, right? Even if you wanted to lock down a customer environment and check 50 security boxes, do they actually want that? Are they going to pay for it? So it's not about closing every door, locking every window. It's about what's most important to lock down. And then how do you monitor it going forward? And I really think that's kind of the mission that we're on, is like, I want to do an audit because I want to just go to any customer anytime, see the report on, yes, no, or compliant, non-compliant. And then I want to go lock things down. I want to actually turn on MFA for that admin account, or I want to lock down whatever security policy. And then I want to monitor it going forward. So I set my baseline, and then I want a PSA ticket if my baseline gets broken, or someone adds a new user or turns something off, or anything like that happens. I think on the audit side, the broader audit, you're seeing just a lot more cybersecurity insurance companies are requiring that kind of inventory audit. There's HIPAA and the other compliances that they want an audit and inventory of everything that's going on. And it's just a pain in the butt. It's hard to do that across all your tenants all the time. And if that's a manual process, we all know that you can't do it, right? There's no way you're going to manually log into 50 environments, 50 different Microsoft portals, and multiple other tool portals to do that. So it's got to be automated. It's got to be multi-tenant, and the reporting has to be a breeze. And that's kind of the problem we're trying to solve.
Okay. And then does the product, one of the things you talked about, again, saving time is very important, but the other issue as techs we always run into is having the 1,000 panes of glass. There's a and that's a it's a challenge. I know we're not going to be able to get to a single pane of glass, but does the product, do you integrate with any RMMs or any other products that or PSAs, so that those alerts or those challenges will go through there? Or you
so it's funny because I run the product management team and the partner success team. So I help build the things and decide what are the most important features, and then I hear all the grief from partners or all of the asks from the thing they want next. And there's a ton of requests for PSA integrations, but whenever I ask them, it's like, would you rather have a PSA integration, or would you rather have another app to monitor, or would you like a PSA integration, or would you like us to go deeper in Microsoft? And they always opt for the more functionality, the more features. And so I got to put my PM hat on and give the people what they want. So PSA integration, like I said, I come from Enable, and from day one, we knew multi-tenancy was table stakes, and a lot of efficiency gains were table stakes, and PSA integration was on the roadmap immediately. The question is always kind of, when is that the most important thing? And right now I'm kind of thinking the second half of this year is when we're going to start focusing on a lot of the PSA integrations. We do have an agent for the broad inventory audit. So that's what you would install on someone's workstation to find all the local and the cloud-based and all the software that they're using, no matter where they're using it. So that's deployed via RMM. And because RMMs are so great at deploying out, installing, and then monitoring the things that they've installed, there's no real need for an API level integration. And right now, our email to ticket PSA creation, we're trying to keep it really lightweight. So we're creating the tickets. The emails are simple. The contents are clean and clear there. And then PSA integration, as far as syncing or automatically creating tasks and stuff, that's kind of where we're thinking of going into the API route in the second half of the year.
Okay. Now, do you guys, you have a partner program for MSPs?
We're MSP exclusive. From the day we were founded, we're MSP first, MSP only right now, and that's the plan. I mean, we love the channel, and at Enable was the first company I worked at that didn't just talk a partner game and talk a channel game; they lived it. And I remember getting my wrist slapped when I was kind of brand new at Enable, and I called a partner a customer once, and they're like, they're not customers, they're partners. We're in it together. If they fail, we fail. And it's so that I would just say that's in our DNA. So it's like we're only MSP centric. Our pricing reflects that. It's for the channel. It's not for a direct enterprise. And that's really our home and where we plan on staying right now.
Okay. Now, I remember earlier you saying that you guys are focusing on the Microsoft and the Google network, Google's Google's internal.
Yeah.
But as far as other software that's out there, how deep? I'm gonna say things like let's say QuickBooks and I'm trying to think of something else. Another popular program that's running a lot, but are you guys in that space as well, or is it?
So yeah, right now we're only managing Microsoft and Google. So the platform supports both of those. We actually have really good data because, we have thousands of agents out there that are discovering the tools that employees use on a day-to-day basis. So I actually have the data. It's all anonymous, kind of feeding back to us, just saying what apps are most popular, how many visits, how many times a week, that kind of thing. And some of the apps surprise me in there. I see the big ones like Salesforce and Zoom and Dropbox and QuickBooks. I see a couple other ones, like a lot of our partners have law firms or construction organizations. So there's like the #1 construction app for project management's in there and a couple other tools like that. I would say it's all the ones you kind of expect, and we use an iceberg analogy in a lot of our presentations where it's kind of like the top of the iceberg. Everybody knows it's Microsoft and Google and Zoom and all the apps we use most. And they're kind of like the IT stack. Everybody in the company uses those apps versus some of the line of business or the department specific apps where below the water, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. So I already know the top 10 apps. The question I always am talking to partners about is like, what do you want? Do you think that if we provided a Salesforce integration, the ability to manage and secure Salesforce, would you be able to go take over administration of that? Do you even want to take over administration of that? And I know you're talking to me, Rick, but I'm just curious to get your take on that. Is there any other app in there? You mentioned QuickBooks. Is there anything you've ever heard from customers about like struggling to onboard, offboard, or secure, or they're just worried about data?
Well, a program like QuickBooks for us, 90% of everything that, as an MSP, the customer says, hey, I want this, I want to put this on. They come to us and expect us to be the experts on it. Right. Yeah. So, a lot of stuff we have to self-teach, for most of us who work in verticals or specialize in verticals, we spent a lot of time, honing and learning a specific line of business piece of software. So then we become the quote unquote experts because we put so much time in it. But I can't say like for me, I have a lot of clients who are optometrists, right? So I focus on the two main line of business pieces of software that optometrists use. So, but I do get the occasional, like my architects, their CAD and then, the accountants, the QuickBooks. So I don't have a specific, I just asked, I was asking the question just because of the simple fact that, I'm just wondering what you guys are specializing in. But I do want to pivot on that for a second. One of the things you said that I think is probably I'm sure you guys probably recognize this, but for me and other MSPs, we may not see it as that whole audit process of knowing what's being used the most, what's, where things are going. It triggers another opportunity for us as MSPs because it gives us now something to also focus on. If I know a client is using a product that I take as a throwaway or just something on there, and then I'm learning that they use this quite often, I'm going to put a little bit more of my own learnings into it so that when things come up or as a conversation piece to talk to them about, X product, Y product, to have a good conversation as to, hey, I am studying your business. I'm paying attention and I know you use this product, and did you know this, or it's just whatever learnings we could. It's for us from a, I guess you say, a marketing, but more so from a customer experience and customer service point of view. It provides us with a good opportunity to further get ourselves enhanced in the customer's business.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people talk about the trusted advisor and kind of that kind of role, but I personally like VCIO as a term, because really, if you are like a CIO is very different than kind of a L1 technician, right? Some people have just a very specific task to be done. The CIO is kind of expected to keep the technical house in order, but also translate like everything that's going on over here to the business owners. And if you can play that role and go in and say, like we've heard so many cool stories from people using some of our broader audits to be like, hey, did you know that you're using 3 different conferencing tools? Or why are you using 2 different file sharing apps? Like, do you even know where your company data is going? And I agree, it's, the visibility is the key. And it's not that every single customer's black box of software that you open up is going to have nuggets of project work for you and things like that. But it does change a lot of business conversations. And often, I do hear from some partners that say, well, now I'm supposed to be an expert in the 50 different tools that my customer use. And the answer is no, you don't have to be an expert in them. But if you can get them the report or get them the visibility, they know what those tools are. And you just sit down with them and say, hey, look, this is all the software you're using. Did you know that and we try to pre-categorize, pre-score, do all that kind of work so that you wouldn't have to. So we'll actually flag something as QuickBooks is a medium to high risk app because of course it has financial data. Whereas, Facebook is a low risk app, but it's also low business productivity. So we'll try to give some scores to things like that. But really, it's just about sit down with your customer. You go through the list with them together, and they're going to notice things like, hey, I thought we got rid of that app 6 months ago, right? It was that intern that came in for 2 days that, set that thing up, and then we didn't end up using it. Why are these 3 employees still using it? And it's stuff that hits the productivity of the business. It hits finance. It's all spend. And it hits just your overall security posture as a company.
Right. And it's great. And it definitely shows, again, as we're making that transition, and you're right, using the term VCIO, as we're making that transition from just being, I just had this conversation yesterday with someone that back when I started my business, I loved the term. I used to say, hey, it's Rick, your computer guy. Now I detest that term because I'm not the computer guy, right? I do so much more, and I'm trying to offer so much more than just being the computer guy, just the guy here to fix the computers when they're broken. So, having insight like that, I think is a real good help. And it's going that step that some people won't. And it does show to your kids, like you said, they can realize, hey, we are spending money where we don't necessarily need to. Hey, we are losing productivity time because we're allowing X, Y, Z to occur. And that takes an interest in their business more so than it's just, hey, I'm here to fix the computers, make sure everything's running and keep going. So I think the concept of that is great.
Yeah. And I'll just say one more thing on that. We ended up spinning up a bit of a professional services side of the company. Not that we're trying to make money on helping partners do X, Y, Z. And a lot of the time, if we're talking low effort, low cost, et cetera, I'll see us throw that in for free for some partners. But basically, we use a separate third-party reporting tool. And because I had a lot of partners coming and saying, hey, I like this data, but I want my logo on it. I want to hide this little piece of information. And then I want to massage it over here to present, a particular kind of QBR story to this customer. And I personally have been on dozens of those calls where we're tweaking and massaging report data because I really want to understand what stories partners are trying to tell to their customers. And then I want to ping them a week later and say, how did it go? And what's kind of resonating with, the optometrist business owner, and things like that. So we do a lot of that. And I think that's the partnership play, right? Like, and at no point does Augmentt view itself as a software company where like, it really is that partnership where it's like, sure, we give a platform. The MSP is the only one who can install it. We can't go install it on your customer system for you. But when all the data comes in, that's where Augmentt and our partner can kind of sit down together, shoulder to shoulder, and be like, that's interesting, and that's interesting, and hey, maybe go talk to them about that at your next meetup. And then we're curious to hear back, right? Because we're always, we release product updates weekly, and we're always looking for the minor tweaks, the minor wins that are really going to help, our partners succeed at the end of the day.
Sounds great. Now, in your partner program for MSPs are interested, this is another, hot topic, but and a lot of us despise it, but do you guys have any commitments or minimums or, anything like that to become a partner and use your product?
Yeah, so no minimums, and we're month to month. So there's 0 contracts at Augmentt. We started out with 1-year contracts just because, we figured it's, let's get together and let's do this for a year, see if it's successful. And after a while, we were just like, why? Like everything seems to be trending towards multi-year, contracts for discounts and 3-year commits and things like that. And all we've ever heard is negativity about that. So we just went month to month, and it forces us to earn partners' business every single month. It makes it super low risk to try. And SaaS is still kind of it's a new thing for a lot of partners. Like, am I going to make money off of a Microsoft 365 security service? Am I going to make money off of an auditing service? Or, can I just try this out for 2 months, see if it works? Which customers does it resonate with? And then figure out how I'm going to scale everything outward.
Sounds good. And it definitely sounds like it's as again, I'll go back to this whole VCL, as we are making that transition to start doing things like, I've heard it for a long time, but never valued it until recently, QBRs, TBRs, whatever you want to, whatever BR you want to call it.
Yeah.
But having that information and being able to present it to clients, it does, again. And it's one of the things we're stressing here on the show now is we're trying to make that transition from just techs to business owners and being responsible and adding value to our clients, above and beyond just keeping everything running smoothly. And so having that opportunity to, again, I'm going to speak as an MSP saying this, commitments or minimums, they kill me. I understand from a business point of view why they are necessary sometimes, but they drive me nuts. And it's because sometimes, I don't know. You could tell me now, hey, this is a great product and it looks great, but when I put it in practice, it may not work for me. Yep. And now I'm locked into it. But so that drives me absolutely nuts. But I will ask you this question, because this is in evaluating vendors to give my business to, and we talk about this a lot as well. 2 things that matter to me. Price becomes, not as important if I can get if it is really going to help me grow my business, but also about the support that I'm going to get when I don't understand or things are going a little wacky, and I can pick up the phone or send an email, however it may be done. What do you guys do? And what is your support process?
So I mean, every partner has a partner success manager. I think that's, it's common practice to say you have a named partner success manager, but it's what we do. We try to cap out the number of partners that any one partner success manager has. And the idea is that there's only so much time in a month, and you really do want monthly touch points. You want to know the one person you can call that can quarterback everything for you, that, so you just log a support ticket, it's going to show up on this person's radar, and they're your champion internally to chase it down. I would say we're a small, scrappy company. We're over 30 people now. We're growing fast. And the plan is to grow big and solve lots of problems for MSPs in the market. But I would just say it's in the DNA of Derek, our CEO. It's in my DNA to, there's no politics internally. I get CC'd as VP of product on every single customer issue. And we got to make hard decisions sometimes where if someone's having a small impact and it's only impacting one person, it goes lower on the priority list. Of course, I'm going to do the bigger thing that impacts more people. But like I said, we release weekly, and it's not uncommon to find a bug on Friday that's impacting 2 partners, and then release something the next Tuesday, Wednesday that resolves it. And that's not a just early days kind of thing. Like that's in our DNA, is that like resolve it as fast as possible. You bought a product to do a thing, and if it can't do the thing, I've personally authorized like pausing payments. If you try to deploy and for some reason in your environment you can't deploy the agent, well then if you can't deploy the agent, why are you paying for the product that you can't use? Right. So like we're trying to be good citizens and take care of our partners and do right by them. And that's why we do the month to month. It's why we do everything in our power to kind of fix things as fast as they happen.
No, that's good. I mean, because that is the make or break for most of us. It's, you can have the best product in the world, but if I can't get help when I need it, or I feel like I'm being ignored, that absolutely drives me crazy. Because
so I'll say a couple more things, Rick. We're doing a quarterly webinar with all of our partners now, and because even as a product guy, we release brand new little features here and there all the time. And I can't expect any partner to check their email or log into the product and go to the notification center and read all the release notes and everything. So if you can spare half an hour to 40 minutes once a quarter, I'm going to run you through everything that came out in the last 90 days and a little bit of roadmap sneak peek, what's coming out in the next 30 to 60 days, and kind of get your feedback. And we have a beta program that any partner can sign up to. If you want to see the roadmap, you want to see the early features, you want to test and give feedback, like we're fanatical about getting people's feedback. That's my product management philosophy, is like, there's a couple quotes I love. One of them is, your opinion, although interesting, is irrelevant. And that means like my opinion as a product manager, like it doesn't matter what Ali thinks or believes or whatever. It matters what my 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 partners believe, right? Like that's the truth. The truth is always outside the building. And software companies are notorious for drinking their own Kool-Aid and patting themselves on the back for, locking someone into a 3-year contract, and they call it $5,000 in revenue, and they're celebrating on whatever they just did. And I'm more of a no, like always be listening, always be improving. And the company that can always listen and always improve will win eventually. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like someone else might leap ahead and they made a right guess and a right bet, but as long as we're always listening and tweaking, we'll be okay.
Exactly. That sounds great. Definitely sounds great. One more question I have from an MSP perspective. Do you guys have some kind of onboarding program or initial training to learn the product?
Yeah, so we did this partially at Enable, and at Augmentt, we have a full-blown we call it the Academy, but basically it's an LMS system, and it has, so like if you as an owner wanted to purchase Augmentt and then you wanted 3 of your technicians to go through it's not really called the certification course, but you wanted them to go through courses 1, 2, 3. So it's like, I want you to go through the whole onboarding thing. Then I actually want you to go through the business marketing course. And our business marketing course actually has free ebooks and blogs and social posts and all that kind of stuff to help you go to market faster. And then there's also the deeper technical stuff. But yeah, we're crazy about that. We try to keep our knowledge base up to date. If you just have one little question about how to do one little thing in the platform, but we actually have full-blown courses for that. And the day that you purchase, you get introduced to your partner success manager. There's going to be a kickoff call, and that guy is going to want to know, what are you trying to achieve? What are your goals? Are we trying to get out to 3 customers in the next month? And really just to help you get to that goal, right? Are you trying to sell this service to your entire customer base? Okay, you probably want to do these emails, this blog post. You want to do a joint webinar. Augmentt can kind of speak on your behalf, pretend to be you, and talk about the merits of SaaS security. And so, yeah, we got a full-blown partner onboarding program. And then, of course, there's the monthly touch points, the quarterly big kind of get together for everybody, update on the product. But we're trying to do our best there to make sure that you bought it for a reason. There's a goal you're trying to achieve, and we want to get you there as fast as possible.
Oh, that sounds great. This sounds great. We're coming up on the end of the half hour, so I wanted to ask you, for anyone interested, in Augmentt, or want some further information, how can they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, the website. If you just want to go try the product, we have a 14-day free trial. Of course, that's an option. The sales team and the solutions team, they're great at just helping you. If you just want to chat, you just have questions about pricing, rollout, anything, just ping us. That's all good. And I would say, we actually have a product launch coming up in a couple of weeks where we're going to do conditional access policy building. And basically I'm trying to solve MFA world hunger. I want the one-stop shop where I can run the report on all my customers. I can turn it on with a policy or individually, and then I can alert on it and monitor everything. So we got a pretty cool launch coming up in a couple of weeks. And if you want to be on the beta, you don't have to be a partner to be on our beta. It's beta testing at augmentt.com, and I'll send you the email and the link
put it
for
in
that.
The show notes. Okay, sounds good. Before we close out, is anything else you wanted that you think we didn't cover, or anything about Augmentt that you think everyone should know?
I think that's enough about Augmentt. I'm always curious to hear from MSPs. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I try to stay active and connect with partners and chat with them. And what are your thoughts on SaaS management? Are you hearing it from your customers? Is security standardization across all your customers important? These are the things that we're trying to learn from MSPs and then educate the rest of the market. And I think that if we can create the community where all the MSPs who care most about SaaS security are gathered, it's not that Augment's going to be the best and know everything, but if the community can answer the question, that's really what we're trying to do.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Hey, Ali, I really want to thank you for your time today and introducing us to Augmentt.
It was awesome. I appreciate it, Rick. Anytime. That was great.
Okay, sure. We'll definitely have the links in the show notes for anyone who wants to get in touch with you and learn a bit more. For everyone else, thank you for joining us today. I want you to tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. You can watch the video podcast at youtube.com/MSP Unplugged or facebook.com/MSP Unplugged. We need you to like, subscribe, hit the notification button to be notified when a new episode's available. You can also take us on the go with your favorite podcatcher. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Again, I want to thank everyone for listening. Ali, again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.